Welcome to the Cultural Connect podcast. I am your host, Brandon Nales, and I'm here to bring you guys some strategies, some tips, and some ways that you as a creator can make money because it's very important, right? For those of you who are not aware of who I am a marketing strategist. I do a lot of work with brands, with creators, and finding ways that they can make money and the ways that they can capitalize off of their brand. And I thought that it was super important for my first episode of my podcast to talk about branding and brand partnerships, right? And so this is not specific to one crowd. This is not specific to one type of creator. This is specific to anyone looking to achieve a post 9 to 5 lifestyle. And if that's you, these strategies are going to be specifically for you, and hopefully these will be a start, if you haven't started already, to capitalizing off of your hobby and just generating income, which we all want to do. So as a creator or as a brand, if you're looking to start something that you want to, monetize and make money off of, you have to understand what you do, which sounds like a crazy question, right? Probably sounds like a silly, stupid question. What do you do? But when you get into a room and you have to sell yourself, you have to be able to tell somebody very easily, right? And when you're telling somebody what you do, you have to say it in a very quick and confident way, because confidence is contagious, right? So you have to ask yourself, what do I do? What's my brand name, right? Am I a singer? Am I a gamer on Twitch? Am I a YouTuber? Am I a photographer? Am I a videographer? Am I a podcaster? Am I a YouTuber? I said that already, but am I an influencer, right? And once you figure out what you do, you have to think about the vibe that you're giving off. If I can make it, just as simple as possible. What's your vibe? What do you like? Like, are you like this elegant, professional, like future thinking kind of person? Are you someone who's like down to earth and humble and tells it like it is? Are you somebody who is an introvert and probably not as open to, expressing yourself? Are you somebody who you think is not relatable, but, you have a lot of friends because your friends can relate to you? You have a brand, So the idea is to really break down who you are, your personality, the personality of your brand, and what you're trying to sell to people, and find a way that you can build a voice off of that. Find a way that you can build a color palette off of that. Find a way that you can build a product off of that, a service off of that, and sell it. What I tell a lot of people to do is give me 3 artists. If you're like a singer, or if you're a podcaster, give me 3 podcasters, give me 3 YouTubers that you really identify with. And if you had to describe them with one adjective, what adjective would you give me, right? And then give me 2 brands that you really like, that you're really loyal to, right? 2 brands that I can think of that I love automatically. Wegmans I love, and I love, Dunkin', right? They're pretty consistent. I think I try to stay consistent in the things that I do, all right? So that would represent me. That would represent my brand, is consistency. I really like Audi as a car. I think Audis are powerful and they're elegant. I want to show like an air of like, elegance, and I want to show that I'm bold, fiery, powerful. And so once you do that and you pick those 5, brands and artists, whoever, and you start to give an adjective for each, you can start to develop ideas that you want your brand to resemble, right? And then you can find a way that people will actually, gravitate towards your brand, right? If somebody else likes, elegance, they will come to my brand. If somebody else appreciates consistency, they will come to my brand. And then you have to ask yourself, what are some core values that you have? And when I say core values, I'm talking about, what are your principles? What do you stand on, right? Do you stand on empowering people? Do you stand on empowering women? Do you stand on empowering, minorities? Do you stand on, education and reform in education? Do you stand on political reform? Do you stand on family, community? And when you find out what that is, then you're able to, use that as a value, and you can move, when you're moving forward with building your content, you can make sure that your content will reflect those values that you have, right? And then when you have those values, and when you have those adjectives for your brand, you have to figure out, who is that for? Your audience should be as descriptive and as distinct and as like narrow as possible, right? You don't want to make something for everybody. You don't want to make something that's like, I am a clothing designer and I make my clothes for basically whoever wants to buy them. You'll never reach anybody on the internet. You won't. If you are a clothing designer that makes clothes for people who have certain allergies to certain fabrics, if you only make athletic gear for men, right? If you only make athletic gear for women, if you make, maternity clothes. I mean, I can go on a list for forever, honestly, but once you realize who your audience is, you realize what they're looking for, that will help you with your brand strategy as well. Okay? And then once you have all of those, you're finding out what the voice is. Right? You take the adjectives from the artists and the brands that you admire, throw them on a paper. That could be your voice, right? Your voice is slightly sarcastic, but funny. Your voice is confident and trustworthy, and once you have that voice and you're moving forward with content, you have a brand that you can work off and you can monetize that, okay? And then the next thing that you would do is figure out how are you going to take that brand and how are you going to let all of the activities that you do reflect that through merchandise, through your website, through social media, through music, through your store, through your the product that you sell, the services that you sell, and so on and so forth, right? And that takes me into brand partnerships now. I think now that we're ready to discuss that. When you're going for a brand partnership, you have to think of the types of partnerships that are there. Okay? There's tour partnerships. There are exclusive content partnerships. Okay? There are unique promotions. Think about like an artist that teams up with like a clothing company and does their own line, right? There are live event activations, which is my background, which I do. I've worked with brands like, Bank of America and Dunkin' Donuts, and finding ways that we can take, everyday regular things and just build around it. You as well can do the same for your product, for your service, or for your music, for your content, for your gaming, for your photography. However you want to bring that to life, these are ways that you can actually partner with different companies and you can find the value proposition between the two of them. And for those of you who don't know what a value proposition is, it is what is the shared values that you guys have? Meaning, what are my principles? What are your principles? And what is the middle in between that, like the Venn diagram thing? Like the middle, the sweet spot between our two principles that we can find common ground and we can both advance our agenda, right? I need something, but just as equally, you need something as well. Right? Now, when you're finding the shared value between yourself and between another artist, this is why it's important that you guys understand what your principles are, but you want to make sure that you're not forcing the wrong partnerships. And I think that as fans of different companies and fans of different celebrities, we know when a partnership is forced. We don't really like it. We don't really want it. We're kind of, we push back on it, honestly. And so, you don't want to look like a sellout. If you look like a sellout, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up losing fan base, you're going to lose their trust, and if you lose their trust, you don't have the trust of your fan base or of your consumer base or your listener base, then it's going to be harder for you to get more brand partnerships in the future because that's what they're looking for, all right? So these brands have to be something that you love. You have to be a big fan of it, and it has to make sense, right? If it doesn't make sense and if you don't already love and use their product, you're probably not going to be very successful in your marketing campaign, right? If we can, I think the easiest thing that I can think of, right, is like those, I'm not going to say the name of it, but those like Instagram brands that give their product to the Instagram influencers, right? Usually they're models, if you guys can catch the drift that I'm going with. And usually they like promise some goals that we all know they're not gonna achieve. And then we see them try it out and then it just doesn't work, right? We don't want that. We don't want to see that. I think the thing that comes to mind even more so, this is like a partnership that was like really, really, really interesting for me. If you guys can think back a while ago, I think it was DJ Khaled and it was Planet Fitness came together, and I thought, wow. And I'm not even like the biggest fan of DJ Khaled. I think he's awesome at what he does, but I'm not like running for DJ Khaled's content. But I thought, wow, what a great partnership, because Planet Fitness, they throw their name on like New Year's Eve. They throw their name in they have a lot of, tons of commercials, and they're just trying to get the average person into their gym. When you see DJ Khaled partnering with them, and I said, I want to see how much weight DJ Khaled can actually, lose off of this. Like, how is this going to turn out? Like, I want to see how successful this is, because if I have goals that I feel like as a skinny guy, like I want to go to Planet Fitness and I want to, gain muscle. I want to but that seems like really like daunting for me. Like, it seems like it's going to take a long time. Right. So if I see that DJ Khaled is like, going about this and he's able to succeed in what he's doing, then you got me. I'm sold on Planet Fitness. And what I saw was I didn't hear another word out of it after a while. We didn't really see anything from him. We didn't really see any mentions from it. It was like it just kind of fell apart, in my opinion. I mean, and if I'm wrong, reach out to me, show me like, hey, listen, they said this, or DJ Khaled said this, or he lost this weight, but I just didn't see anything after that, and that made me think like, all right, that's a brand partnership that you were just trying to capitalize off of. The money looked good, but it wasn't effective, because Planet Fitness, if you're a gym and you want somebody to lose, weight, it's like, if I don't see the guy losing the weight, I don't really feel that motivated myself. That's what it's telling me. So basically, point of the story is that you have to make sure that whenever you are connecting with someone, that your value is the same and that the goals will be the same and that you guys actually see through to it. Right. And it has to align. That's the next biggest thing. It's very important that it aligns. If it doesn't align with what you're doing as, whoever you are and what the potential partner is, it's not going to work as well. Okay? If DJ Khaled had no intention of actually going to the gym that whole time, it's not going to work. Right? If you have no intention of really, promoting anything, and it's just kind of like wasted money. Right? If you don't have anything to capitalize off of, there's really no point for it, right? You're going on tour. If you have a new album coming out, if you have a new single coming out, if you have a new show coming out, if you are debuting a new content series, right? Then these are things that you want to get behind, you want to create a campaign for, and a brand would be really helpful. Because you don't want to, a lot of people, their sentiment is that they don't want to rely on their label, right? They don't want to rely on, somebody that's, financially, they don't want to be held like, they don't want to be obligated to binded by, a contract or something like that. They want to be able to create for free, right? That's the whole name of the game. So it has to align with what you're doing. And when you're getting that capital or when you're getting that audience, you have to capitalize off of it. And so therefore, you have to have something that you're looking to promote, right? Usually people go for like rebrands, people on the brand side, people go for like new products, so on and so forth. And that, honestly, like I'm talking a lot about making money because it's important, but you have to understand that it's also not the most important thing, if that makes sense, right? Does that make sense? If I'm an emerging artist, right, I can take one of two things. I can take a check from you guys, right, to promote your brand, right? If I'm a huge fan of, again, I'm just going to go with Wegmans because it's easy. If I'm a huge fan of Wegmans coffee, Wegmans is a supermarket for anyone who's not in the Northeast area of the United States. If I'm not, I don't know, going to take the check from them, maybe I'm going to take the audience. Maybe I'm going to take the free product so I can keep promoting it, right? If someone's going to reach out to me and they're going to tell me that they have a clothing company, right, and they want me to promote their clothing company, right, and they're going to put me on their page, and I look at their page, and that page has like 77,000 followers, right, and I have just my measly, 1,500. Hey, there's an audience, you're giving me an audience that I can reach out to, that I can expand my brand, right? When I expand my brand and my audience, that audience then I can, cultivate, and they can be an audience that another brand would want to, possibly capitalize off of, right? So it's not always about money. And when you do it, it just has to be about the authenticity. I don't think I can stress that enough, honestly. For artists, for creators, for producers, for business owners, for the lingerie creators, for anybody really. I mean, it has to be authentic when you're doing it. All right, you can't go back and say, "Oh, I never liked this brand anyway." I just did it for the money, because then you'll look like a sellout. Like I said before, you can't go and invest into an artist who just doesn't look stable, because you don't want your brand to be perceived that way, right? You don't want to look like you're chasing the clout, because the kids don't like that. They don't like when you chase the clout. You know what I mean? So it's important that you are authentic with what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to force out content, and forced content is terrible. It's horrible. I hate it. I don't like it, right? When you're forcing content out, and it's just like, I'm doing this just because I'm doing this, it's horrible. You don't like it. You don't like to make it. I don't like to watch it. I don't like to listen to it. I don't like to hear it. I can tell, right? I think a lot of people feel that way about when the artists are going for these TikTok moments now, especially now in the quarantine, right? With the whole pandemic that's going on, people are chasing viral moments. People are chasing these partnerships because they think it's going to make their brand look better. Not, it's going to make it look bad. It's going to make it look really bad, and people are not going to receive it the way that they want to, unless like someone's obsessed with you. But your general audience will sense it and they won't really like it, right? If you don't feel like you have a brand that you really can connect with, that you can make authentic content with, just keep making the content yourself. Just do it, do it yourself. If there's no artist out there that you feel like can really reach the audience that you're looking for, keep looking. Don't force it on somebody. Don't go with you. We've seen, companies that have gone for the wrong person, and they have to put a statement out. Don't put a statement out, right? We don't want to see that. But honestly, when you're thinking about brand partnerships and when you're thinking about connecting with people, I think that you have to understand that there's just a foundation that you have to hit, right? It's that shared value, right? And the shared value is connected to the brand, knowing your brand, and it's connected to knowing who your audience is. It's connected to knowing, what your brand's voice is. And when that all comes together, hopefully, 9 times out of 10, you'll have successful results, right? You'll be able to achieve what you're looking to achieve. And these tips and these strategies are not specific just to the big brands, right? This is not just for the big brand partnership guys from the sports teams, from the car companies, from the beverage companies, from the food companies, from the tech companies. No, it's not. This is not for the big artists, right? It's not just for Cardi B. It's not just for French Montana. It's not just for The Weeknd. It's not just for Dua Lipa. It's not just for Taylor Swift. It's for the small guys too, right? And when we're talking about the smaller emerging talents, right, who still have a strong brand, we've seen that they have like 4,000 or 5,000 followers on Instagram, and those guys are super, super engaged with that artist, with that brand, right? When we do a lot of events around like the country in New York, wherever, a lot of people expect that they're just gonna like blow up instantly, right? When you think you're doing a brand partnership, you think it's just gonna blow up instantly, right? You have to tap into your local scene first, and I'm gonna tie this all together. It sounds like I'm rambling, but I'm gonna get to a point with it, right? When you find the brand, the local brand in your city, in your hometown, where you're working, right? And you see that they have an engaged audience and you really like what they're doing, right? Every town has that one brand, right? That you're proud to say that like that person is from your town, right? It could be a bakery. It could be a clothing company. It could be a tech company that started here, right? I think that, like, I know like people, especially tech companies, people are like super excited when like a tech company like started in their town. Like every time that I used to live in Los Angeles, and every time that I would get into a car and they would use Waze, right? I had a lot of like Israeli friends, and they would be like, that this started in Israel? You know that this is like where I'm from? Like they connect with that. That's something that they connect with, right? If that's an audience I really wanted to connect to, random, I know, but like just so you guys get the point, I would like work with Waze, You know, if I really wanted to tap into like the Israeli like culture, right? If I really wanted to tap into, I'm trying to think of another like company that's like specific to one place. Um, if like I really want to connect with Philadelphia, I'm gonna connect with like Tasty Cakes. You know, if I really want to connect with Chicago, maybe I'm gonna connect with like Joe Fresh Goods, or maybe I'm gonna connect with Portillo's, or maybe I'm gonna connect with like I think it's Illuminati's, not Illuminati. You know, I'm gonna find these like these brands that are like so grounded into my city, or that city, or whichever city, and I'm gonna like come up with them. You know what I mean? And so, as an emerging artist, that's a great way that you guys can actually connect with that city, build your audience in that city, build a small audience, and also you can like kind of like you can mix it up. You know, if I'm a big brand and I go for an emerging artist with like a very loyal fan base, I look like innovative. I look like a tastemaker. I look like I'm leading the pack. Right? I don't look like I'm chasing a moment. I don't look like I'm chasing an artist. I don't look like I'm chasing a generation. Right? I just saw you know, a commercial for Taco Bell with the chalupa, and it's like this guy, like he's like a TikToker, and he's got like this like weird chalupa that's like 3 pieces, and it's like I see what they're doing there. I see what they're going after. I don't think it hit. I don't think it's really like, I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But it seemed forced. You know what I mean? And so it's important. Companies, you're looking for micro influencers. You know, micro influencers is like one of those like buzzwords that you hear a lot with people who have a small but very loyal following. Big artists, you know. Also, I mean, if you really love small brand, we see it a lot with like that's how Fashion Nova like really blew up. Like, you know, a lot of big artists were like really endorsing it. I'm trying to think of another like brand that like, you know, what's her name? Drea, when she launched her swimwear line. Like that was like I mean, Drea is a big, you know, celebrity, but this was a brand that wasn't well known, and like people were going and endorsing it and getting in like the, you know, wearing the modeling with it and everything like that. So there's ways that you can incorporate smaller artists with big brands, small artists with small brands on like a community level, big brands with big artists, and so on and so forth. There's so many different ways that you can do it, right? But the most important part, like I said, is just making sure that it's authentic, making sure that you know who you are, make sure that they know who they are, and make sure that you guys know the connection between the two and the shared value and the shared goals and what you guys both want to accomplish, right? And so that's pretty much, you know, my spiel. That's my idea. That's my quick rundown on brand partnerships. For anybody who is really interested in finding ways that you can connect with brands, for brands who are really interested in finding ways that you can connect with different audiences, make sure you reach out to me. At Brandon Nales, right, on Instagram, at Brandon Nales on Twitter, brandonnales@gmail.com. I have my own website, brandonnales.com. YouTube, guess what it is? You guessed it, Brandon Nales as well. You just type that right in there, Nales, and you're going to find all of my content, all of the ways that you can contact me. Reach out. Make sure, again, you're downloading the creative branding worksheet so that you understand what your brand is and how you can provide value to other brands, audiences, your audience, their audience, everybody's audience. So that's it for the first episode of the Culture Connect podcast. Guess who I am? At Brandon Nales, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure you guys stay safe. Make sure you guys stay quarantined, and make sure you guys are, following by the social distancing guidelines and all of that. All right? Have a good night.